Thanks for joining me in Yin Yoga today. If you haven't done Yin before, it will be a new experience for you. It's a very gentle practice, very simple practice, I should say. Simple doesn't always mean necessarily easy. But you can join me on the floor, or you can even do this practice in the bed, on the bed. I will tell you some modifications that might be easier if you are on a bed. So, welcome, namaste. We're just going to start. The breath is an integral part of Yin Yoga and Hatha Yoga, but we really use our breath a lot in our Yin poses. We're going to start off with the practice first, just to get us becoming more aware of our breath. The word yogis use for their breathing control is pranayama. And this pranayama breathing technique today we're going to do is called the hummingbird breath, or Brahmari, called Brahmari after the Indian bee, which is called Brahmari. So its practice is named after the humming sound that bees make, and the idea of it is to lengthen our exhalation or our breath out without causing strain. So if you have any breathing issues, take it gently. But the idea of this practice is to calm down the mind. It's one of the best practices to free the mind of agitation and frustration and anxiety. It also can bring joy to your heart. It can clear your sinuses, I hope, and a multitude of other benefits. But mainly with breathing practices, I think, is the fact that you have to be very mindful. You can't think of other things if you're really concentrating on the one practice, which is breathing. Now, you can have a choice to bring the hands into this practice, because it will enable you to listen to the sound a little bit more. So I'll show you that, but you can do it without putting your hands in any position that I say. So first of all, bringing our thumbs up to our ears and blocking our ears. If you want to listen to me, just watch. Bringing our thumbs to our ears, blocking our ears, laying our index finger across our forehead and our 3 fingers over our eyes. From there, I will now take them down. We can do the practice without doing that, remember. What I want you to do is take a nice, sit up nice and straight first, long straight spine, so that we can expand our lungs. Take a nice deep inhale in through the nostrils. And as you exhale, with your mouth closed, make the sound of the letter M, which will give you a humming sound like a bee. And you make that sound until your exhale is completely finished, which could be longer than you would normally exhale. Then you repeat in through the nose and then hum like a buzzing bee as you exhale. And you continue to inhale and exhale in this fashion. So we'll do half a dozen breaths in this fashion and see how you go. If anyone's in the room with you, they might get a bit of a laugh, especially if you've got your ears blocked, you can't really hear the external sounds. So let's go. you can hear me, I'm going to gradually release my hands down and open my eyes. Now we've broken down all barriers. Some people will practice that, the exhale through their very slightly open mouth rather than breathing out through the nose. So that's something you can do for several minutes a day just to help you lengthen your exhale and have all those other added benefits. But into Yin Yoga. Tonight we're doing a hip opening practice. All of our shapes are down on the floor, the mat, or on your bed. So I'll get you into the first shape. Now you have a choice with this shape to go into child's pose, which I'll show you what that is. But if that's not accessible for you to turn over to face the bed or the mat, you can just lay on your back and hug your knees in towards your chest, grabbing behind the thighs and bring them in as far as you can. You can support them with pillows. With Yin Yoga, we do as much support as we can with bolsters or blocks as we need. If we're on the mat or the bed and we can get on to all fours, we widen our knees, bring our feet together if they can stay apart, and then take our tailbone towards our bottoms. Now not everybody will get their bottom sitting on their heels. They might only come back a little bit. And then we're going to bring our upper body down to the mat. So take the bottom back as far as it can first, and then rest the upper body down, head onto the bed or the floor. If the body won't come all the way down to the mat, you can prop with a bolster or pillows and rest like so. If you can't get in that shape, we go onto our back, hugging our knees towards our chest. Again, they might not come all the way to touch your rib cage, they come wherever they can. So I'm going to, if you can all make your shape, and I will just talk through a couple of the principles of Yin if you've never done it before. The idea is you all make the pose, and we call it a shape because everyone's shape is individual and completely unique because of the shape of our skeleton and the flexibility of our connective tissue. Once we've made our shape, we find our natural edge. We find the end of the passive stretch, how far we can sit back to maintain that shape for a few minutes, because that's how long we're going to hold each pose. We're going to then try and become as still as we can and just focus on our breathing. So breathing in and breathing out. And then the fourth principle is the state of relaxation we come into in between each shape. So I will pop into my child's pose. Hopefully you're already in some sort of shape. This is a very grounding shape. We're facing down to the earth. And on these folded shapes, it's really nice to breathe in and then breathe out. Really release a long, slow, slightly slower exhalation. We don't want any breath forcing, but we can focus on a deep exhalation or breath out. And as we focus on our breath and our exhalation, we just let our body melt and mould down towards the earth as much as we can. Really surrender into the stillness. Try not to fidget, which may be difficult in the first few practices. One really high priority is that we don't feel any pain or any burning or loss of sensation. If we feel that we've gone past our passive edge or our natural edge, we probably need to back out of the shape a little bit. That's not to say that there might not be some discomfort in some of the shapes we're going to make. And if it's only discomfort because we're stressing tissues that haven't been stressed for a while, we just focus on our breath and try and breathe through the process. As I said, our breath is an integral part of this practice. By focusing on our breath, we're tending to chop out the other chitter-chatter that we have going on in our mind. If this is too much for the compression in the back of our knees, like I said, we can come out of the pose slightly by bolstering up on our chest up on a bolster, or maybe even placing a couple of folded towels behind the knees, or picking the alternative choice of being on our back and just bringing our knees towards our chest. So it's an experiment the first few times we make different shapes. We'll take 5 more deep breaths here. As I said, just focusing on that long, slow, deep exhale. And then as we come out of our shape, we come out very slowly and gradually, because we've had our body stuck in this position for probably nearly 5 minutes. So we're just going to slide ourselves out either fully onto our tummy or onto our back. For what we call the rebound phase or the release phase, where we really start to take notice of the different sensations we might feel in our body. Really focusing in on parts of our body, our hips, the back of our knees, our shoulders. Noticing whether there's some warmth there or some tingling from being in their positions. And again, just some nice, gentle, steady breaths. And really feeling the relaxation of coming out of the pose. Okay, gently pushing yourself up now onto your seat. Our next shape is what we call a butterfly shape. Now, you might find it easier to sit up on a block or a pillow or a bolster to just get the hips up a little bit higher. And then all we're doing is bringing our feet together, as close together as we can. So soles of the feet together. Maybe they're not coming completely together, but we're still getting this change in our hips, in the hip direction. Now the feet can be as far away from the body as you like, or as close to the body as you like. This is where your shape is your shape. Only belongs to you. And then from there, that might be enough for you. You might feel that you've got enough work here, happening here in the hips and the knees. But you may also choose to fold forward. And with this, we are just letting ourselves come forward. So we're getting a stretch through the spine as well when I do this. It might be easier for you to actually lean back. That might be more comfortable. If you choose to lean back, you can lean back against a wall or pillows. If you choose to lean forward, you might choose to support your head up on a bolster. If that's about as far as your expression of the shape goes, you might be able to come down, leaning on the bolster or pillows, or you might choose to just let gravity take its place and slowly let you fold over the next 5 minutes. So find your shape. What we're doing in Yin Yoga, find your shape and find your stillness. Yin Yoga aims to stress our deep connective tissues, either by stretching them or compressing them. So in in this shape, for example, we're getting a stretch through the back of the spine, the length of the spine, from the top of our head right through down to our tailbone. And we're getting compression in the internal part of our hips and some stretch through the outside of our hips. And the purpose of that is to actually stimulate our connective tissues, massage our tissues, squeeze our lymph nodes, release toxins to flush out of our system. And particularly with opening of our hips, on an emotional level, we tend to store a lot of tension in our hips. Tension like frustration, worry, all gets stuck and trapped in our hip joints. So this is a great way to flush out deep-seated emotions. So Yin Yoga does have other benefits other than the physical stretching and compressing. There is an emotional magic part to Yin as well. Really important after we do Yin is to help flush our body by drinking lots of water. Be prepared during Yin and after Yin to have a little bit of release of emotions, maybe joy, maybe sadness, might be feeling crying but not even really understanding why. Okay, let's take 3 more breaths here. Nice inhale and a nice deep exhale. Don't be afraid to sigh the breath out. Really releasing and letting go. And then gradually, very yinly, because we have had our spine in quite a flexible position if we're folded forward, come upright. And then take yourself back down onto our back, which we call Shavasana. You can be flat on our back with our legs straight, or you might decide to keep them still a little bent if your lower back causes some issues. We just have this period of rebound again to survey and scan our body. Okay, we're going to come up into a more challenging shape, which is called dragon. I have a second option for those that feel that dragon may be too hard if they're on the bed. Dragon is literally come to all fours, and then it's a low lunge. As though you're going to take off in a running race. Maybe in a running race you have your back leg up. We've got our back knee down, our front leg under our front foot under our front knee, and we're getting a stretch. Actually, I'll turn around the other way. We're getting a stretch through our back hip. So we're trying to lean forward enough so that this target area feels a stretch. So you might not be able to come as far forward. You may still have more of an angle here in this back hip, and we are compressing the front hip joint. From here, we can lean on our front knee and stay upright. We could come down onto our fingers. You could come right down inside your front leg onto your elbows, or you could even lean on something with your elbows here. So my front knee's turning out slightly, it's just bending out slightly so I can come inside it. So this is dragon. If this is too much for you, you can lay on your side and just pull your top leg back, grabbing your trousers or just bending the knee up and getting the same stretch through the top hip at the front, the groin. So that's your two options. I'll go back into my dragon on my feet. We won't stay here quite as long because this is a challenging pose. We are really stretching our front hip and compressing our back hip, but this is really where we're trying to learn to sit with the discomfort. When it comes to our hips, it's all about learning to sit with discomfort sometimes. When our hips are very tight, we really want to breathe deeply and create the space that we need in our hips. So please don't bear with pain. Back off a little bit, but if it's just uncomfortable, just breathe deeply. 5 more breaths here, really trying to deeply inhale and exhale any tension that we can feel. Feel as though we're taking that breath all the way down to our hips. If you participate in a chair, this would be a pose where you could sit slightly side onto the chair and take one foot beside the chair and lean into that hip, a stretch that's quite common. Okay, again, slowly coming out of the shape, however you can, and resting down on your tummy or your back, whatever's more accessible for you. And paying attention to your body. Making our way up to do our dragon on the other side. Again, laying on your side and pulling one knee back towards your bottom, one heel back towards your bottom if you can't get into our dragon shape in the same way I am. Otherwise, into your low lunge. Taking note of the compression in that front groin, as well as the stretch in the back leg. Try not to place too much tension on that back kneecap, but finding your shape, surrendering to the stillness. And focusing on your breath. here in Dragon. And then gradually coming down into your release or rebound shape, which is on your tummy or your back, whatever's most comfortable for you to scan your body. Okay, our next shape is Sphinx pose, which requires us to roll over onto our tummy if we're not already laying on our tummy. And then it is just a matter of coming up onto your elbows so that you have a back bend. Now that may be too much for some people's lower back. So you can take your arms out further and just bring your shoulders up off the ground a little bit, enough that you're feeling a bend in this lower back. It may be a case that you might even just slip a pillow under your upper chest and that lifts you up if it's too much to have the weight on your shoulders. If you've got shoulder issues, you may just prop yourself on a pillow. Choice to come up onto the elbows and get that back bend. If you are not feeling that in the target area, which is your lower back, you could push up into seal pose with straight arms, which is quite at the end of my natural edge, and I probably wouldn't be able to stay here for the whole few minutes that we intend to. The other thing you could do is have a pillow or bolster under your chest, like I said, to support the back bend so that you're not taking any weight through the shoulders. That feels really nice. If you want a little bit extra, you could take your forearms up onto the bolster and that will give you a little bit more intensity. So find your Sphinx wherever it may be. And then this is actually quite an energizing pose, so we really concentrate on our back bends to inhale deeply. Focus really on the inhale or the breath in rather than the breath out. We still breathe out, but we let it happen quite naturally. So nice deep inhales, really trying to open the chest. and fill up the lungs. In doing so, we also want to be able to relax down into the shape and stay here in stillness. Okay, let's all take 5 more deep inhalations. Really expanding our chest. And then we'll slowly take ourselves down onto our tummy. Really important we move slowly. Our spine is fragile after being in our shape. And then as we're resetting, just taking note of our lower back. Taking time to really assess the physical sensations we have in our body, something we don't do very often in everyday life when we're active and moving and our mind is focused on everything but ourselves. It's a really important and opportunity to really focus on our mind and our body. A chance in Yin to see how much chitter-chatter is going on. Have we been able to focus on our breath when we've stopped? Have we been able to stay still? Probably reflects a lot on how little we do it in our busy lives. Or even if our lives aren't busy, we probably don't sit in stillness complete stillness very often for very long. Okay, all making our way onto our back now for our twisting shape. So in our twist, it's going to be a very simple twist. So taking our arms out to the side, well actually bring your knees towards your chest a little bit if you can, otherwise leave your feet on the floor with your knees bent. Arms are out to the side, and then all we're doing is letting our knees fall to one side. Now your shoulder, opposite shoulder, might come off the ground a little bit, that's okay. If you want to keep your shoulders desperately on the ground, you may land your knees onto a pillow or a bolster. So the main thing is that we feel the twist in our spine, so around our belly. There's a twist happening from our hips around to our back. So if the shoulder's off the ground a little bit and the knees are on the ground, we might support our arm on some pillows if you've got some pillows, or support our knees and keep our shoulder on the ground. Now some people might find this quite difficult to get that rotation in the spine. Their knees might only come over a little way from centre, and that's okay, as long as you're getting the feeling of a twist through your torso. If you would like, you can keep your head facing towards the sky, or you might add the extra twist of your looking in the opposite direction to your knees. Twists are really balancing for our body. They're really good at clearing the toxins in our belly, in our digestive system, getting our digestive organs working in a physical sense. It's a really nice way to fill our lungs with air. Big deep inhales and exhales. Really feel the expansion of your lungs and the contraction as you breathe out. And really surrendering your body down to the mat. gradually unraveling your twist, coming back to centre. Knees bent or straight, we'll just stay on our backs for a few moments and just let our back reset before we go to the other side. And then gently, the same as we did at the other side, bring our knees towards our chest and let them roll over to the opposite side. Again, shoulder can come off the ground. You might just even do a little gentle roll just to let your body settle into the position. Again, head can face either side or centre. And really enjoy some nice deep breaths again here. Very gently bringing yourself back to centre now. Giving yourself just a few breaths to see how that twist felt. you to make your way into Shavasana, our most important shape for the day, which is on our backs, legs relaxed, toes pointing to the corner of your mat, a little bit wider than hip width, hands resting on the floor beside you, fingers palms up. Now if your lower back doesn't like having legs as straight as that, you could prop a pillow or a bolster under your knees to support the knees being bent, or you could bend your knees and place your knees together with your feet wide, and that will save you having to support them. They'll lean against each other. If you prefer to have your hands on your tummy or your heart, that's okay too, but otherwise resting by your side, nice and gently. Shavasana is our most important time, and we will spend a few 5 or 10 minutes in, probably 5 to 7 minutes in Shavasana. A time to really reset our body after all of our shapes, our stressing and our compressing that we've done. So if you haven't taken the opportunity to have eyes closed during your practice, your Yin practice, here's an opportunity to shut down your eyes. There's no shape to be made other than what you're in right now. So make yourself as comfortable as you can. Let your body sink heavily down into the mat. Take a deep breath in and let your breath sigh out. I'm going to do that one more time. Breathe in. And then just let your breath go back to a normal rhythm. And I want you simply to become aware of your breath. Observe your breath. Where's it going? Can you feel it entering into your nostrils? Is it a little bit cool as it comes in? Can you feel it exiting your nostrils? Can you feel warmer air exiting your nostrils? Can you notice, does it go down the back of your throat? Does your chest rise or fall, or your tummy rise or fall? Just take a few breaths to note your own breath. Is your breath slow and steady? Is there a pause between your breaths? Is your body still? Is everything other than your breath still in your body? Take time now to feel your body. Take your awareness away from your breath to your whole body. Are you perfectly still? Or can you feel sensations in your body? Is there warmth, tingling, energy? Can you feel your heart beating? Bring awareness to your whole body. Sit with this awareness for the next few minutes, or lie. awareness slowly back to your breath. A couple of deeper breaths in and out. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. And if you feel ready, rolling onto your side, resting on your side for 3 breaths. And then if you would like to come up then onto your bottoms. We'll finish our practice today. Bringing our hands together at heart center, thumbs pressed against your chest in our prayer mudra. Bowing our heads together towards our fingertips. Namaste, everybody. Thank you for joining me.